The Trump administration is shifting its trade strategy. Instead of broad tariffs, the focus is now on targeted measures. These tariffs will aim at countries with perceived trade imbalances with the United States. This new approach signals a move away from the trade wars of the past few years. However, it still carries significant implications for global trade. The tariffs are set to be implemented on April 2nd. However, President Trump has hinted at potential flexibility. This injects uncertainty into the market as businesses await further details. The tariffs will impact a specific group of countries. These countries represent 15% of those engaged in trade with the United States. They are being targeted due to what the Trump administration deems unfavorable trade deals. This targeted approach aims to address specific trade imbalances. It reflects a move away from the broader tariffs that characterized the early days of the Trump administration. The impact on global trade remains to be seen. The administration argues that these tariffs are necessary. They claim these measures will protect American jobs and industries. The tariffs are designed to incentivize these countries to renegotiate trade deals. The goal is to create more favorable terms for the United States. However, critics argue that these tariffs could backfire. They fear that these tariffs could lead to retaliatory measures from the targeted countries, ultimately harming the U.S. economy. The move towards targeted tariffs marks a new phase in the Trump administration's trade policy. The impact of this shift on the global trade landscape is yet to be fully understood. It will undoubtedly be a key area of observation for economists and policymakers alike in the coming months. The effectiveness of these tariffs in achieving their stated goals remains to be seen. The potential for unintended consequences such as trade wars is a significant concern. The Trump administration's decision to implement targeted tariffs is rooted in a specific rationale. The administration is focusing on countries with which the United States has what it considers unfavorable trade deals. These deals, in the view of the administration, have resulted in a trade deficit for the United States. The tariffs are seen as a tool to pressure these countries to renegotiate these deals. The goal is to achieve more balanced trade relationships. The criteria for determining which countries have unfavorable trade deals remain somewhat opaque. The administration has not released a clear set of metrics or standards. This lack of transparency raises concerns about the potential for arbitrariness in selecting the targeted countries. It also raises questions about whether these tariffs are truly about addressing trade imbalances, or if they are a tool for pursuing other geopolitical objectives. The administration argues that these targeted tariffs are necessary to protect American workers and businesses. They claim that unfair trade practices by these countries have put the United States at a disadvantage. However, critics argue that these tariffs are more likely to harm American consumers, who will face higher prices on goods imported from these countries. They also argue that these tariffs could disrupt global supply chains, hurting American businesses that rely on these chains. The decision to target specific countries with tariffs is a significant escalation of the Trump administration's trade policy. It remains to be seen how these countries will respond to these tariffs, and whether they will be willing to renegotiate trade deals. The potential for a tit-for-tat trade war, which could harm the global economy, is a real concern. The impact of these tariffs on American consumers and businesses will also be closely watched. In announcing the new tariffs, the Trump administration made a point of highlighting certain exclusions. Notably absent from the list of targeted goods are cars, chips, and drugs. These industries are significant players in the global economy. Their exclusion from the tariffs is strategic, aiming to mitigate potential negative impacts on the U.S. economy. The decision to exclude these sectors reflects an understanding of their importance. The exclusion of cars is particularly significant. The auto industry is a major employer in the United States. It is also deeply integrated into global supply chains. Imposing tariffs on cars could disrupt this industry, leading to job losses and higher prices for consumers. Similarly, the chip industry is crucial to the technology sector. Targeting this sector could hamper innovation and competitiveness. The pharmaceutical industry, also excluded from the tariffs, is another sensitive sector. The United States relies heavily on imports of drugs. Imposing tariffs could lead to higher drug prices, impacting healthcare costs for Americans. The decision to exclude drugs reflects the administration's awareness of the potential political fallout from higher drug prices. While these exclusions suggest a degree of strategic thinking, They also raise questions about the overall coherence of the tariff policy. Critics argue that cherry-picking industries for protectionism creates an uneven playing field. They also argue that it does little to address the underlying issues driving trade imbalances. These exclusions highlight the complexities of trade policy and the challenges of using tariffs as a tool to achieve specific economic objectives. The announcement of targeted tariffs has generated a range of reactions from global markets and international actors. U.S. market futures saw an immediate uptick following the news, suggesting a degree of optimism among investors. This positive response likely reflects a belief that the targeted approach is preferable to the broader tariffs threatened previously. However, it is essential to note that this initial market optimism may be tempered as the details of the tariffs are revealed, and the potential for retaliation becomes clearer. International reactions have been more measured, with a palpable undercurrent of caution. China, a frequent target of U.S. trade actions, expressed its preparedness for any potential shocks stemming from the tariffs. The Chinese premier emphasized the country's resilience and its commitment to protecting its interests. This measured response underscores the high stakes involved in this trade maneuver, as a full-blown trade war between the two economic giants could have significant global ramifications. Australia, another key U.S. trading partner, voiced concerns about the tariffs' broader impact on the global economy. The Australian treasurer warned against protectionist policies, highlighting the importance of free and fair trade for global economic stability. This concern reflects the interconnected nature of the global economy, where actions taken by one country, particularly a major player like the United States, can have ripple effects across the globe. The reactions to the targeted tariffs highlight the delicate balancing act facing the Trump administration. While the move aims to address specific trade concerns, it also carries the risk of escalating trade tensions and disrupting global markets. The coming weeks will be crucial in determining whether this targeted approach can achieve its objectives without triggering a broader trade war. The international community will be watching closely, assessing the potential fallout and adjusting their strategies accordingly.